Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a complete guide to buying tires, understanding tires, what size you need to get if you've got aftermarket wheels or you're buying aftermarket wheels for your 2015 plus Subaru WRX or STI. There's so many videos out there that kind of beat around the bush and don't give you the best information about tires on this platform of Subaru WRX and STI. So I wanted to go ahead and make a video that basically covers all the bases, everything that you need to know, everything that you need to understand. It gives you the A to Z, the full 1 to 10 of how to buy tires, understand the size, what you need, the rules in place, where you can go wrong, what tires to buy, and I'll tell you guys exactly what size tires you actually need to buy if you just want to be easy, repeatable, buy what 95% of us on this platform buy and not have any problems. I'll tell you that too. Okay, so let's say you either have aftermarket wheels and you need to replace a tire, but that's less likely the case. More likely, you want to buy new wheels for your WRX or STI, and you're excited about getting aftermarket wheels because they are one of the best modifications you can do. They completely change your car, they change your ride, they're defining, they make you unique. I could go on and on. Wheels are so important in defining these cars. They change the car substantially and they make such a difference. I'm not here to sell you on wheels, but I am here to tell you everything you need to know about tires. Let's make an assumption for this video that you've already determined what wheel you're gonna buy, because you're gonna need to know what wheel you're getting before you can buy tires. You can't really, well, you could buy tires for the wheel. You're better off picking the wheel you want, picking the size of the wheel, and then getting the tires for it. Now you need to understand, as you're looking for a wheel, the more common the size of the wheel you're getting, the cheaper the tires, because likely they're in larger production. If you think that you're gonna get a 19 or 20 inch wheel for your WRX or STI, just know to meet the same ratios and percentages, to make sure you don't have any problems with it, your tires are gonna be substantially more expensive than if you go with an 18 by 9.5 wheel, which is your most common size for the WRX or STI, specifically the 2015 plus. So if you haven't picked out a wheel or you don't know how to, go check out the video that I made on the complete guide to buying aftermarket wheels for the WRX platform. So let's make an assumption that you've already picked out your wheels. Let's talk about tire basics. Tires are actually pretty simple. This should be a pretty quick video. Tire sizes are represented by 3 numbers, typically a number slash number slash number, a number slash number slash number. Yeah, that was the right amount. And we're gonna use a 255 35 R18 as our example size. The 255 represents the width of the tire. Pretty easy, right? We don't really need to know more at this point. The R18, we're skipping the middle number, is going to be the size, the diameter of the tire, but more specifically the diameter of the wheel that you're wrapping the tire on. So an R18 in our case would mean that we're working with a 18-inch diameter aftermarket wheel. The more tricky number, and the number that's harder to understand and quantify, is your middle number in your sequence of how a tire is sized, and that's going to be your aspect ratio. So in this instance, with our demo example wheel, our aspect ratio is 35. That's actually a percentage. It's the aspect ratio. So a 35 is going to be different for every wheel, and that's kind of hard to understand. It defines the wall, the sidewall height of your tire. So the aspect ratio is the ratio between the width and the sidewall height, and that gives you the aspect ratio. And in my opinion, it's kind of a backwards way of thinking it as a consumer, but that's what it needs to be. So just understand every tire is going to be different depending on the size of your tire and the size of your wheel. So that aspect ratio is going to change, but what it really represents is the sidewall height. So of course, you know, getting tight on sidewall, which I've done on this Avid One wheel, is you know, something to consider. So that's the really brief basics of tires, but that's all you really need to understand. So maybe I'll make another video that goes really in deep about how those things are measured, where they're measured from. It's an interesting science and it's not as straightforward as you think, but I don't want to bore you guys because that's all the information, again, you really need. And then before I tell you exactly what tire size you need to get for this car and why, let me talk for a second about different kinds of tires. So of course we have seasonal tires, and that's pretty straightforward. We've got winters or snow tires. They can be non-studded or studded. You've got all-season tires, which are for all seasons. They're supposed to be a generally good tire for any type of driving. And then you have your summer tires, which are optimized for summer driving and potentially rain. This is pretty straightforward. Don't run summers in the winter. Don't run winters in the summer. Run all seasons, but understand all seasons are not the best for each summer or winter season. So that's a good middle ground. If you run all seasons, don't do dangerous stuff in the winter. It's not going to work well. If it's raining in the summer and you're running all seasons, don't do dangerous stuff. If you're in summers, don't drive in the snow. If you're in snow, don't drive in the summer. It's pretty straightforward. So just make sure you get tires that fit your needs. If you don't want to run multiple sets of tires, all seasons are always going to be the best answer. But if you have a spare set of tires, like my stock tires on this car, I bought winter tires, non-studded snow tires for the stock 17-inch wheels on this car. They sit in my garage until it snows, and then I bought my aftermarket wheels, and instead of buying all seasons, because I have 2 sets, these are summer tires, so that I get the optimal performance when I'm trying to have fun with the car, and then when I really need to have fun with the car or drive the car in snow, I throw the snow tires on. And it's really easy to change your tires on this car, so it's pretty useful. But what else do I mean about types of tire? Well, brand specifically. So there's 2 kinds of tires. There's your name brand tires, and then there's your off-brand or less known tires, and there's the good ones and there's the bad ones and the ones you shouldn't get. What I wanted to tell you and what's really important to understand is unless you're getting forged wheels and you're spending $4,000 on your wheels, you don't need to feel as obliged to buying name brand tires because they don't actually necessarily deliver any more performance than your off-brand or less likely known tires. You have to understand the physics of the tires and the ratings, etc. What do I mean by name brand? We're talking about like BF Goodrich, Michelin, Continental, Goodyear, Bridgestone. Those are going to be your name brand tires. And then, as you can tell, these are Sumitomo's. I've never bought name brand I've never bought the big brand tires for my car. And then the less known, and I'll tell you why this is the case, the less known ones that I would recommend are stuff like Sumitomo, Toyo, General is okay, Firestone, Hancooks, however you want to say them. Those are okay. Those are all tires that come from similar regions. They're using the same rubber and they go through the same testing and performance testing. They also offer the same or better warranties than your big name brand. So what's the deal? Well, the big name brands, the reason why they're so successful is at the top tier, you're talking racing tires, the best snow tires, they do have the best performance, and they've had the best performance for some time now. And that's why those name brands are the gold standard when you're thinking about tires, and that's why they cost more, people pay more for them, and that's why they're in big name brand stores, and it's a whole economy. And I won't, not going to beat around the bush here. The lesser known tire brands that I just talked about do not have that top range performance and can't compete. I'm not going to play around. But if you're not tracking your 2015 plus WRX or STI or racing through the snow, which almost none of us are, then if you look at the individual tire performance data, which I'm not going to fully talk about right now because it's so different for every tire, but let's use Tire Rack for an example. When we go on Tire Rack, we see speed ratings, we see traction ratings, we see durability ratings, like you see here, and those are ratings that are rated by a third party, and that third party gives them a rating. And where it ends up being is you'll find that rubber's rubber, and if the rating is the same, the tire's going to perform very similarly. Now there's some outliers here, and I haven't mentioned some brands, but if you're within the brands that I mentioned, you're okay. And what you'll actually find is I could have wrapped this tire, I could have put a $300 tire on this wheel, but instead I put a $100 tire on this wheel with the exact same performance ratings and durability and everything as the $300 wheel. And what you'll find is these are actually rated for driving longer and they're cheaper, and that's just because they're not a huge mainstream brand. They're not in Costco, they're not in BJ's, they're not at Walmart, etc. And you're not giving up anything. And great example, I've been running Sumitomo's, like this isn't paid, but I'm not getting paid to say this, but I've been running Sumitomo's. I put Sumitomo's on my family's car, everything, because they're cheaper and they last longer and they're better tires than the equivalent at a big brand. So I'll stop there. You guys get the point. So the last thing I need to talk about is arguably the most important thing. Your tire is what finishes the wheel's percentage change. We'll call it that. Your ratio of change. So when you put aftermarket wheels in your car, you have to understand that your wheels are what allows your speedometer and the rest of your car to understand how fast you're going. If you change the diameter of the wheel and the tire, the total diameter of the entire package that's on your car, it's going to change the amount of times, the amount of revolutions per distance. So if you go with a larger wheel, your revolution per distance is going to change. You're going to have a higher distance per revolution. If you go with a smaller wheel, you're going to have a lower distance per revolution. And the revolutions is what allows your car to understand, one, how fast you're going and all the other metrics in the engine. So why do you care about that? If you change that ratio, your speedometer is no longer going to be accurate. If you're going 60 miles an hour, right, and your ratio has changed by 10%, you're actually going to be going 66 miles an hour, but your speedometer is only going to say 60 miles an hour. And you can see where I'm going, that getting pulled over for a speeding ticket gets harder and harder, and that radar becomes more accurate than your speedometer, because your speedometer is not accurate anymore. So I'm not going to tell you how to calculate it, because there's tons of calculators out there. So what you need to do is look up, and I'll link one in the description below, a percent change ratio calculator for wheels and tires. And what you're going to end up doing is you're going to put the existing wheel size in and tire size from stock. You're going to put the proposed wheel size and tire size in that you want to put on there, and it's going to give you a percent change. The golden rule is you need to stay under 2%. 2% is your threshold. If you know that you're going to go over 2%, and you know that you're going to be aware of that forever when you drive, go ahead and do it, but you need to know what your speedometer is actually going to be at. You need to understand that ratio and understand that percentage difference and whether it matters or how much it matters, etc. Stay under 2%. That's the rule. Now, I'm going to just make this easy for all of you guys. 95% of people that drive these cars and put aftermarket wheels on their car buy an 18 by 9.5 wheel. It's the most common size by far. Yes, sure, let me know in the comment section below. You're probably an outlier, but for the majority of us, it's an 18 by 9.5. And on an 18 by 9.5, to keep under your 2%, the most common tire size is a 255/35 R18. That's why we use that as our example size. So if you want to be safe, you don't want to guess around anything, go watch the wheel video that I put out, pick your wheels in that size, get a 255/35 R18, and you're never going to have problems with your wheels or tires. You're going to be around 1.6%. I think that's the last time I calculated with this exact setup. It changes a little bit depending on the brand. If you get a really good calculator, they give you a little bit more information, it's a little bit more accurate, and every calculator is slightly different because the way the metrics and how they calculate that difference changes, because a lot more things actually go into it depending on the speed and the compression of the tire, and some calculators are dumb and they're just calculating the percent change in the ratio. Some are trying to think more than that. That's a deeper question, but what you'll find is you're only about 2% off, and you just need to understand that when you're driving that you're going 2% faster or 2% slower. So that's the answer. Hopefully you guys feel empowered to go out and buy some tires. Hopefully there's no questions left unasked here, and you know everything you need to know about wheels and tires for this platform, if you watch the other video, of course, but tires specifically. And make sure you do all this on your own. Don't pay someone to do it, because it's cheaper just to get the tires, take it to the shop and get it done there. Don't pay the exorbitant fee to go to a shop and have this service all done for you, because lots of people do that and they overpay for tires and wheels, and they don't get the experience and they don't learn about them. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comment section below what you're running for wheels, tires, and that size. And if you're running a different tire size on an 18 by 9.5, let me know what you're running in the comment section below and what your percent change is. Thanks for watching, guys.